You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Keys to the City. I'm your host, Trevor Keys, alongside the big brother, Ted, from his kitchen, live from his kitchen, I should say. But, Ted, we're just getting into it. I was like, screw it. We gotta get going because you're on a time frame right now. We were supposed to have the Joseph Aguirre join us, but he had some things to take care of. Talk some baseball. New York Yankees baseball started off 5-0. And Trev's Easter Sunday was ruined. It was a good Easter Sunday, but it was ruined. And the state of Connecticut is 2 steps closer from doing it again, like they did in 2004, like they did in 2014. Can they do it in 2024? We will see. Trev was this close. The sports gods just, I'm a very good human being. Some people might say otherwise, but the sports guys just don't want Trev to win. They just want to see Trev suffer. Whatever. I can't get into it. But
UConn women, NC State women, UConn
yeah,
men.
no, it's a fascinating thing. UConn women. I mean, you had probably the most viewed. I don't know what the actual ratings for last night and the viewership.
Yeah,
but you probably had the most viewed basketball game in women's college basketball history last night between Iowa and LSU. And then the night game, you had 4 great teams. One of the number 1 seeds, the UConn Huskies, in the Final Four. But Ted, we were going to talk baseball. But we're going to wait for the Joseph Aguirre to join us so we can discuss that. We're here to talk about the NFL because we finally hit the month of April. And if anybody knows, there's 23 days away until a wild draft night in Detroit. I still miss that. I wish it was in Music City Hall in New York. But let's get into it because we've had this discussion and we will be posting our mock draft in a little while. Our latest 2.0 to talk. Huge decision coming. An incoming giant dilemma, I like to call today's show, because the New York Giants have a huge dilemma and face a great deal of questions, uncertainty of what they're going to do at the number 6 pick. And me and Ted have been going at it with one another because, yeah, we might be brothers. And everybody thinks, oh, well, they're brothers, so they might agree. You know what I say? Fuck that. We like to do it differently. We go after one another. That's why we're brothers, and we're not always agreeable. We agree on certain things. We don't agree on a lot of things.
We just posted our text message from our Instagram thing last week about.
Oh yeah,
I
was gonna do it. And what, you think I wasn't getting pissed? Every time I talk to you about this, I get pissed off because it's like I'm just ready to lose it. I'm just about ready to lose because the New York Giants face so much. It's like another year. Here's the thing, Ted. Think about this. Every year for the past 10 years, it's like, the New York Giants is a huge draft. It's like every year, I feel like I'm in repeat. Oh, it's another massive draft. But I feel like this year, I think it really is a massive.
And how many draft picks are we screwed up on that, huh?
That's why we're in the position that we're in again.
Eric Flowers, Evan Neal. My God, Kadarius Toney.
But guess what? The Giants did a hell of a job in free
agency. Think about it. We could have
adding to that offensive line. They're going to have a brand new offensive line, a lot of different pieces there. So that's a great thing to know going into the 2024 season.
Well, you hope.
But the big question is, Ted, who's going to be the guy throwing the ball? Is it going to be Daniel Jones or Drew Lock? And who's going to be catching the ball? Is it going to be? Are they going to add another weapon to this? I want to say, I'm trying to use the right word because there is talent in this receiving core, but it's a receiving core that says
it's deep.
It doesn't. I'm talking about the Giants receiving core.
Oh.
I don't want. There's talent there, but I don't want to be like. There's teams that are like, okay.
Let's be honest. Giants are in the worst 3 teams of talent in the league. I think the only teams worse than them are the Patriots and Carolina. Yes.
Are we talking receiver core?
No, the whole entire offense.
Okay. Well, because the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers might be in the discussion of that outside of Justin Herbert. Just saying.
Well, at least they have
Gus Edwards. Who's their receivers and who's their running back?
Gus
Edwards?
I like the receiver.
Oh, you like Quentin Johnson?
No, Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer's good. Josh.
favorite. Josh Palmer loves him in fan. Oh, this guy's great. Yeah,
The good of fantasy, bro. No, listen. No, when Mike Williams and Keenan Allen been out, he's put up numbers.
Well,
Look it
we're
up.
gonna have to see this year.
And hopefully then for them, Quentin Johnson pans out. They have Gus Edwards as the running back, which I do like physicality. And he's going to draft one of his guys in the late rounds. Plus, they have Justin Herbert, and their offensive line is it's not.
I don't care.
I mean, it's better than
you want Justin Herbert. You got to go get your quarterback. I don't give a shit who's the receiver. I don't care. I don't care.
But here's what you'll say:
Daniel Jones is throwing the ball to him. If Daniel Jones,
but here's the thing: when you have an average quarterback, you need great talent. When you have a great quarterback, you can have average talent because, as we've seen, like before, Tom Brady, Mahomes, Burrows, they can uplift guys. They can bring guys to another level. Then you have average quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott. I use them as for examples, or the Matt Ryans, who had guys like Julio Jones or CeeDee Lamb or the Justin Jeffersons, number one star receivers who really took those quarterbacks to another level. Now, I'm not saying those quarterbacks are bad, but the Giants are not even at that level. The Giants are in the bottom half of quarterback play, probably since Eli Manning. And Eli Manning, you got to go really back to his Super Bowl years because the last couple of years he kind of faded down the stretch, and we knew that was over. And that's a similar situation that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers faced for a while, and now they brought in two quarterbacks, and both of them had question marks. But this draft is very interesting because I think we know who's going number one. That's no doubter.
I like
it. And I like for the first time that a number one quarterback is actually going to go to a team that actually put some talent around them beforehand. Like their offensive line is pretty decent, all right, and they still have 2 top 10 picks. Yep. They have a good running back, and they got some other young running backs that'll help out.
Roshan and who's the other one?
The small guy. Oh my God, the scat back, Tariq Cohen.
No, Cohen's gone. Who was the?
No.
Oh my God, who's the running back got hurt last year? They had Roshan Johnson and who else?
I forgot. Herbert. Oh yes, that's who it was. Yeah, okay, so you got that. You have a tight end and Cole Kmet. You have someone like a Keenan Allen who's a perfect guy for a young quarterback, third down role player. He can hit all the slow and intermediate routes. Then you got DJ Moore, big time receiver going deep. Then they got some other guys in between.
Don't forget they added Gerald Everett too.
Yeah, so you got a nice setup for your young quarterback. All right. Now, of course, the division's going to be go figures. We went from a division which you thought was going to be one of the worst. Now you look at this division. This might be one of the best divisions in the NFC.
More
go to the wire. Yeah. I mean, Detroit's right there. Green Bay all of a sudden now looks like a top 10. Minnesota, we don't know what's going to happen with them, and that's going to be the biggest question on what happens with Minnesota in this draft class because you look at the talent. They got players all over the field. Tight end, TJ Hawkinson, the running back with Aaron Jones, receivers, you got KJ Osborne, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. So you got a stellar team. So you look at Caleb Williams, and I know we're going to post our mock draft in a little bit, but we had Caleb going 1, and I think that's the easy decision. He's been the best quarterback kind of since the last 2 years. He would have been the number 1 pick. I just think people knock him because of the way he played at USC, but I think USC team sucked. I think he was against, what was it this year? Against Oregon or something. He was like 6 for 6 going touchdown for touchdown. And then they lost like 52-42. But listen, they had no receivers. They had no offensive line. All right. They really didn't have a running game. And their defense gave up 50 points a game. So the pressure for him. And I also think after winning the Heisman, I think every play he tried to hit a home run instead of sometimes taking the singles. And I think that's why he made some of the mistakes he did.
I mean, think about. I think
if you look at a Caleb Williams and he's playing on some of these better teams, imagine Caleb Williams on the Michigans or Ohio State or something. Imagine some of the teams with that. Caleb Williams puts up probably 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards if he's on the Ohio State offense, especially the team that they had. So I think you're going to see a better Caleb Williams as long as he stays focused when he gets to the NFL, especially right now, because at least with the talent that they're going to support him with. Mm-hmm. Then we go to number 2, right? We're Washington. Now, this is where I think we both think either Drake May or Jaden Daniels are going to go. I think we both believe we both put down Jaden Daniels as the number 2 pick based on his evaluation on what the scouts say, what the analysis says on ESPN, and based on the offense he ran at LSU, and then the coach that they have in Cliff Kingsbury, where you feel like spread the ball, throw the ball over the field, and you feel like something that would suit Jaden Daniels going forward.
I don't have no problem with the top 2. I've been saying Caleb Williams, and I mean, I originally said Marvin Harris.
I think May would be a good fit too.
Here's the thing.
I think it's a question mark. When do they play them? Because they have their.
I'm a Giant fan. I can't be worrying about what the Chicago Bears or the Washington Commanders are doing. Specifically, I want to talk the Washington Commanders, and that's the thing, because you have a team that's in the top 2 picks in your division.
Imagine, could have been us.
Going to
draft
either Jaden Daniels
or Drake May, and they're going to have their franchise quarterback. And this is my big thing about
the Giants right now, because I feel like they're the one franchise in the NFL that wants to continue to hold this guy's hand. The Pittsburgh Steelers moved on from Kenny Pickett like this. The Chicago Bears moved off from Justin Fields like this. The Arizona Cardinals moved off of Josh Rosen like this.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, it took a little longer.
I mean, I know, but listen,
he's still on the team. My point is,
you can go through that whole class.
Trey Lance. Guess what? He wasn't working, so they traded him.
Mac Jones
is what I'm trying to say. Mac Jones. Thank you. You're making it all guys that have been, with the exception to me, outside of Justin Fields. I feel like there's still great potential with Justin Fields, but all considering, those guys were more in the category of below average quarterbacks. Ladies and gentlemen, FYI, Daniel Jones is a below average quarterback, but yet we want to go on year 6 and say that, yeah, we're going to give him all the weapons. Dude, what the hell? I'm going to just say, what the fuck are we doing? Like, we brought in Darren Waller. We brought back Saquon Barkley. We added some pieces offensively for the past couple years.
What does that sound like?
If you're not good, if you just don't have a quarterback that's good enough, you know right off the bat, like Joe Burrow,
let me interrupt.
No, either these guys are elite or they're not going to make
Listen, doesn't this sound like, I don't know, 2016? When they brought back Eli Manning, and they're like, "Oh, let's go get all the weapons for Eli Manning."
I know.
And the same mistake happened then. They went all in with a quarterback. They're like, "Yeah, let's go all in," and it didn't work for them.
So, from what you've been telling me, Ted, that's the way you want to go, though.
No, they set that back.
Receiver.
Yes, because they're not trading up. They don't have the assets to trade.
So who says that won't? Maybe one of the. We've seen it. We've seen it countless amount of times. Quarterbacks fall. We've seen it. Mac Jones fell. Justin Fields fell. Will Levis last year. Just guys. Some of the guys the past couple of years that were supposed to be, top 5, top 10, first round picks that ultimately fell. Like Lamar Jackson was another guy that was possibly going to be a top 15 pick. He fell all the way to 32. So it happens. So there could be a possibility that the Giants don't have to move out of 6. Everybody says, oh, well, the 3 quarterbacks are going right off the bat. What did the Patriots just say? Let's take the best player, who is to many Marvin Harrison Jr., because we're a team that is and Ted just said it earlier, we are god-awful. We don't have no weapons. So we have to at least have some sort of competitive offense. I get it. Like, you have to have a quarterback.
Well, they could also
have
down.
to have weapons. And they could trade down. And then the interesting part is we're at that 4 or 5 slot, because Arizona, they can add a receiver, definitely can use a receiver. The Chargers could add offensive line or receiver, or they could trade back. That's what you see Minnesota. The Giants could just stay pat and take one of the quarterbacks, because we've seen over the years that quarterbacks do sometimes fall. And when I talk about the Giants,
could you not say New England's in the same position as the Giants? They both lack talent on offense. They both have veteran quarterbacks, and right now Daniel Jones is a veteran quarterback. Hold on,
I think it's different. I'm going to answer your question.
So you were saying,
I'm going to answer your question.
You're saying New England should take the best player.
One quick response.
A receiver.
Here's the difference between the Giants.
Neighbors or Marvin Harrison, if they're sitting at 6, are better players impactful right now than the quarterback if you're going your method.
Here's the difference one big difference between the Patriots and the Giants right now.
Well, a new head coach and Brian Daboll might not be there.
Thank you. You have a coach.
I think it depends how the season goes.
Let me answer your question. Gerard Mayo just got hired. They ain't going anywhere with him. They're going to keep him. Brian Daboll, yes, he just had his coach of the year 2 years ago, but then he had a major step back. This team, as a franchise, as a collective unit, franchise as a whole, took a step back last year. If the Giants, great, they take Marvin Harrison Jr., take Malik Neighbors, and they go 5-12 again, 6-11. Who's to say that the New York Giants are looking for another coach next year? And then the rebuilding process.
I think it depends how the season goes,
you have to give
the way the season went at the end of the script was there was so much bullshit that went on at the end of the season with Wink Martindale.
That's what I'm
Dable
saying.
And Cap. So listen. So and even Dable's admitted he's handled things wrong. So maybe if he handles it like a grown ass man instead of being a little baby and being such a miserable
a prima
in
donna,
the thing, then maybe he'll be back for another. Because you can have a losing season depending on how the season goes. The Giants. Here's the thing. So the Giants draft a quarterback. Right? And they go 4-12 and they draft a quarterback. What's the chances that Dable comes back anyways? You're telling me that Dable's coming back if they draft a quarterback?
I don't see the Giants being 4-12. I don't see the Giants being 4-12.
Well, here's the thing.
Their defense is going to be vastly improved.
Here's my point. If they draft a quarterback, right, number one, so say whoever it is, JJ McCarthy, Drake May, they're not playing right off the bat.
Yeah, of course.
Now we don't even know how the Giants are going to handle that with the roster with Daniel Jones and Drew Lock.
So what? Everybody's instantly going to say it's a wasted pick because the guy's not playing.
So you're redshirting him. You're grabbing him for a redshirt year. So you're going to stick with the same quarterback, but now you haven't done anything in the first round, the top 6 pick, to get an impactful player that can be possibly a Pro Bowl stud receiver for the next 10 years. So whoever your quarterback is, he has someone to throw the effing ball to. Because no offense, Troy Aikman wasn't great without Michael Irvin.
Dude.
Joe Montana wasn't great without Jerry Rice. Every great quarterback has had a great receiver with him. You think about it, except for Mahomes, really, and he was great with Tyreek Hill, and now he's at Kelsey. They've all had a stud weapon. The problem I see is the Giants don't have anything. The Giants don't run the football well. They don't have a tight end that catches the ball, and they don't have a receiver.
And they don't have a quarterback.
But you don't have anyone. You have no one to throw the ball. It doesn't matter if
they have a $40 million quarterback right now that is at one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
We know that. They screwed up. We know that. But here's the thing.
So Dable and
listen, draft Drake May. Draft Drake May because that's who you want. Draft Drake May.
The Giants need
and listen, I understand because here's the thing. The one good thing I'll say about this is this class is very deep in receivers. So in the second round at 41, if they want to take the kid out of South Carolina, I believe his name, he's got a build like A.J. Brown. He reminds me of A.J. Brown, same type of size, 6'1", 6'2", 220 thick, and with some blazing speed. Similar how A.J. Brown was Ole Miss. So if that's your way, you want to take Drake May and draft a receiver in the second round, my thing is this.
I just want a direction moving forward that we know we have a quarterback.
They drafted Beckham. They drafted Beckham when they could have drafted.
Yeah, they could have drafted other players. How did that go?
Beckham helped him get to the playoffs.
Oh, he helped him to the playoffs. Yeah, the playoff game.
Do you remember after Beckham sat the first 4 games, what he did? The final 12 games.
Yeah.
Beckham was like the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, great. I don't give a shit about fantasy football, bro.
No. Listen,
I'm trying to win a championship.
Didn't he catch that slant against Baltimore when we were sitting at hard at screaming our brains out?
I know. And guess what?
Because who won him the game? Who won him the game?
I know.
You gotta have ballers, Trev.
Okay, so I want you, for while I'm talking right now, I want you to go look at the New York Giants record when Odell Beckham Jr. was there the entire time, and you tell me how great of a baller he was. Go ask Devontae Adams what it's like to be so great. The team stunk. And the Giants stink right now.
But listen, our defense, we have an expectation our defense is going to be pretty good, right? Our offense has got to score points. Who are you going to, this is what Miami did. They went to go trade for Tyreek Hill so Tua could be good.
Look, the Giants were not good when Ernie Accorsi decided to trade the mortgage for Eli Manning. And guess what? It took a year or two to grow.
Yeah, but they had Plaxico. They
didn't have Plaxico.
Yeah, they had Plaxico. They had Amani.
They signed Plaxico.
Okay, yes, but they went to go get a big. Yeah, they went to go get a big receiver, and they had Amani Toomer, and they had Jeremy Shockey.
And guess what?
They had weapons, dude. They had weapons.
Hold on.
They had weapons. You get mad, but they had weapons.
I'm trying to make my point. Just give me 1 sec. It's like all your friends. It's like trying to get a sentence. You're like, yeah, bam.
You wanted to talk about it. Tough shit.
I am trying to. That's my point. But you're not letting me.
So what do you want to say?
Shut up your mouth.
Yeah, shut up your ass.
Shut up your ass. As I was going to say is, look. The Buffalo Bills, Joe Shane and Brandon Beane did the same thing. They traded all the way up. I'm not saying the Giants. I don't know if the Giants are going to trade up, but they traded up to go get their quarterback. A guy that guess what? We didn't know he was going to be this. Very raw potential. And guess
they also let the Chiefs get Mahomes.
They also, but guess what? They had some bumps in the road before. They had a struggling season. But guess what? Look at the Buffalo Bills for the past couple of years. Have they won a Super Bowl? No. But look where they've been. They've been at the top of the NFL. To win in this game, receivers are valuable now. You need to have a quarterback. If you do not have a quarterback, I do not give a shit who your weapons are. But Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, when Darren Waller, guess what? Their quarterback was Derek Carr, and then it became Aiden O'Connell. What does that do?
Do you think if the Giants went all in on all offense this year, like just grab the weapons after weapon after weapon, running back receivers, like drafted like 3 receivers, 2 running backs, and a partridge in a pear tree, that at least the team would be more competitive than they would be if they drafted a quarterback this season? Because what I'm saying is, I think.
And then what do the Giants do after that?
Here's my question: I think I think you were both in agreement is this season's not going anywhere for the Giants. Let's not pretend like we're going to be good this year. We're not going to be.
I'm not worried about this year.
We're going to have a top 10 pick next year. So what I would say is, guess what? If you're comfortable with that and you know you're going to possibly bring back your coach, draft your quarterback in the future. Draft Drake May or Jacob McCarthy. Sit him, redshirt him. Right? And then the rest of the draft, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds, draft as many weapons as you possibly could find in this draft. And hopefully these guys are smart enough, like the 07 team, where everyone that they draft plays a major role going toward the Super Bowl. That would be great because the defense we look at and we're like, all right, we got Kayvon, we got Brian Burns. We're giving pass rushers. Hopefully he turns out to be the guy that we hope for, $100 million. So him and Kayvon, you got one of the best D tackles, if not the best D tackle in football, in Dexter Lawrence. You got a pretty good linebacking core. Not great, but it's sufficient in the NFL. And you don't need a great linebacker core we've seen that before. The secondary, we don't know right now. It's young, questionable. Deontay Banks.
If the Giants could come away from this draft, for me to consider it to be a successful draft, is to come away with a quarterback, a receiver, a corner,
running back,
and a safety.
I want a running back.
A running back. If running back, yes, of course. I need to see them because that defense.
Here's where I would suggest only one thing. And I think this would be the last case scenario. I think the Giants should at least have this on their plate as a side dish, is if the 4 quarterbacks go before 6, which I would say I would say that's at least 50-50, maybe a little bit more.
Then you take a receiver.
No, I wouldn't even take the receiver at 6. If you feel where this draft class is so deep in the receivers, trade back. Let someone come up to 6, go back to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Go get as many more draft picks, kind of a similar thing in New England. Listen, I know the Giants would never do it, but if Minnesota wants to say, hey, listen, we couldn't get up to 4, and we're going to give you the 11th and the 23rd pick, and we'll give you another 3rd or 1st round, take it. Yeah, you can, at 11 and 23, you can go get your cornerback, and you can still get your receiver. Boom! Those are plug and play guys day one.
Shit, if you got 11 and 23, you could get just a talented player there, and then you could get one of the quarterbacks, whether it's Nix or Penix, if they were there.
I don't think Penix is their guy. I don't think Nix is their guy. I don't think,
according to people on Giants Twitter, freaking obsessed with Michael Penix.
Public people are stupid. I love how Michael.
That's true.
So, but if you can pick up the 2 extra 1st round picks, right? Hopefully those would be impactful players. You get a receiver and cornerback in the 1st rounds, which you can get a cornerback at 23, or a receiver, depending on how you look at it. Brian Thomas Jr. You can get there's like 3 or 4 corners right there. So boom, now you hit the 1st round. Now you hit your impact. Now you solidify your other corner and you hit your other receiver. You still get your big receiver if you want. If not, maybe a lineman, maybe another lineman. Who cares? I don't care. Draft 10,000 linemen. Someone's got to block for us. Yeah. Then if you could pick up an extra 2nd, 3rd, or something next year, now you still have that 2nd round. Now your 2nd round pick at 41, you're like, all right, we already hit a receiver and thing. Maybe we take a quarterback like Spencer Rattler or someone that we drafted. Now maybe you don't like that. Okay, then go get another plug and play guy. Go get another impact. Maybe a tight end. Maybe another receiver. Then or a running back if someone you really love in there. Then you're like, all right, in the first 4 picks, Giants got 4 potential starters right off the bat. But you're like, wait, they don't have a quarterback. I get it. We don't have a quarterback. You can get a quarterback late in the round or wait, because at the end of the day, you know this team ain't going to be good this year. So what you're trying is let's try to put the most competitive team we possibly can put on the field next year. Let's get Jalen Wright, running back out of Tennessee, with blazing speed who could take off. Let's maybe get a receiver late in the second or third round. Let's get a cornerback. Like, wow, now we got 2 lockdown corners. We got 2 pass rushers. We got a D tackle. We got a young running back with Devin Singletary. We got pieces. Daniel Jones is still not our future. Who gives a shit? But at least we have something to put on the field.
My biggest
I think the ultimate goal is the Giants would love Drake May or JJ McCarthy to fall to them. I just don't know if the Giants are going to pull the trigger.
My biggest concern is if they decided to go with the, weaponry and just add all of playmakers.
At least if you know you get a quarterback next year.
That's the point. Is next year's quarterback class is not as enticing as of right now.
We don't know that. Shedeur Sanders, maybe.
Well, you already hear his father try making demands. So I don't want anything to do with Shedeur Sanders. Like, he's already, like, think about that. If I am a GM or I'm one of the scouts and I see my head, I get it. They pulled an Eli, I get it. Eli, well, Eli did it, so what?
No, he might want to come to New York with the publicity.
Well, he doesn't want to go to cold weather. His father, according to his father, doesn't want to go. So I don't even him. To me, no joke. Automatically, he's off my board. Because of the fact that I don't want to deal with that.
But he's good. He's good.
I'm not saying he isn't, but
there's some intriguing quarterbacks.
A factor of his father. I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
He's a mind. He knows the game, but just that baggage.
Trev, imagine this, Trev. He goes to Dallas, and the Giants take Dak next year.
Absolutely not. I would not want Dak Prescott. No, not at all. That's, to me, it's like bringing in LeVar Ball. But a guy that has actually been through it all, his coach, he's a Hall of Famer, he gets the game. But that's bringing in LeVar Ball. I don't want anything to do with it. That kid might end up being one of the best quarterbacks 5 years from now. Maybe. But right now, he's off my board. Call me crazy. I don't really care. I don't want to deal with that, because the moment shit goes haywire, that's when you get to see the true colors.
Listen, it's still early right now, so we don't know. But
it's not a good quarterback class next year, bro.
No, it's not as hyped as this class is. I think there's some talent there.
Dude, there's the number 2 quarterback next year that I've seen was Dylan Gabriel.
No, Quinn Ewers should be from Texas.
I'm not taking Quinn Ewers.
I
don't think he's franchise material.
I think he's pretty good. And we'll see what another year plans out. Listen, it takes time. We'll see what happens. Guys step up. You don't realize things. We don't know anything about this draft class because, as we saw before, the Trevor Lawrence draft class, which is supposed to be like all these stud quarterbacks. I know. Only one guy's actually.
Well, guess what? Because they got to go to the right place.
Yeah, and only one quarterback's on the same team.
All I'm going to say is, I saw on February 11th of this past year that if you don't have a quarterback, no matter what you have on your roster, if you don't have a quarterback that can win you a Super Bowl, and I'm not saying that somebody's going to become the next Patrick Mahomes, because right now that's very, very hard to replicate. And if you say, teams are not trying to, teams are trying to replicate it, because all we ever hear is, Caleb Williams, he might have the tools to be the next Patrick Mahomes. Until you have a quarterback that can play like that can be great and compete for a championship, no matter who you have on your team, because we all know the 49ers had a more talented roster than the Kansas City Chiefs. It did not matter. As long as you have that quarterback, it's like Brady, like we saw the past 20 years. The Colts had a more talented franchise and more talented teams, sometimes year in and year out, over those Patriots. But guess what? As long as you had that quarterback that feared nothing, and every game just knew, hey, I'm better than you. No matter what you throw at me, it's not going to work. Until then, you could have all the weapons in the world. I don't care. You ain't going to win a Super Bowl. You ain't going to win squat.
Well, is Drake May or JJ McCarthy that guy?
Ted, I don't know if any of them are. We don't, because it's the NFL. It's a whole different ballgame. Well, you just said it, Ted. You just said it. The 2020 draft class, or the 20... whatever draft class, the 20, I think it was the 2020 draft class.
Yeah,
the
2021
draft class. Trevor Lawrence, generational. He's the next John Elway. He's the next Andrew Luck. Trevor Lawrence is about 17 games away from
Nah, he ain't going nowhere.
Well, I'm saying in the sense of like, hey,
He
what's
was
going
hurt.
on? What's
was
going
hurt
on
this
over
time.
there, buddy? But if he takes another step back, because people were saying, hey, this was a
Yeah.
Super Bowl type
Going
team
into
last
this
year,
year, we thought he was a top 10 quarterback. Then he took it,
and we thought they were a Super Bowl caliber team. And look what happened. All I'm saying is we don't know if Caleb Williams comes in and becomes Vince Young. He could become Vince Young. He could become RG3. Jaden Daniels could be RG3. Start off great and then falter. I mean, any of these quarterbacks, JJ McCarthy, go to the Vikings and tear the league up.
I get it.
We don't know. We have no idea how all of it's going to play out.
You got to get the quarterback. There's a lot of unknowns in this class because JJ McCarthy wasn't asked to win games, but he won games. He was a winner.
Yeah.
He's got athleticism. He's just got to learn how to change velocity on the ball, and then he's going to have to learn to. Here's
To be the guy. He's going to have to learn to be the guy.
Drake May fundamentally needs work. He needs to redefine his skills. Jaden Daniels, the biggest knock it seems like on him is his size, the thickness. Yeah. He's 6'4". He's fast. He's got a good arm. Lanky. Caleb, I think it's just honing in on the skills. You're great. I think it's just mastering the class and putting everything in a focus. So that's and there's all question marks. There's no sure talent. I think Caleb's the most talented of the ones. Drake May, I think, is the biggest boom or bust. Just because I think the potential for him is to be the best quarterback in this class because he's got a lot of, I would say, Herbert, Josh Allen, big, strong, Ben Roethlisberger, big, strong. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, got a cannon for an arm, he's athletic. He's inconsistent. And that's, it's almost,
that's concerning.
I'm using it in a baseball sense, kind of like Giancarlo Stanton. When he's hot, he's great. The guy, it's unbelievable. Then he strikes out 23 times in a row. So that's the question mark you have with Drake May. And if the Giants can get him and he becomes boom, well, then now you're looking at a team that the Giants could be competing for conference championships, division championships, Super Bowl championships for the next 10, 12 years. If it busts, hey, listen, it happens to all of us. I just wonder would the Giants would the Giants go safer route with JJ McCarthy or would they go boom or bust with Drake May? If it came down to those two
based off of past, I would say they go Drake May because they took a chance with Josh Allen in the same situation. Raw potential.
Yeah, and he has all
the traits to be great, but had the inconsistency,
inaccurate. He was a kind of a boomer. You didn't know Wyoming.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you had no idea. All I know is these 6 quarterbacks, wherever they go, whenever they go, they're all going to be asked to be the guy, no matter what. Like, that's the thing is like JJ McCarthy, if you go to Minnesota, you go to the Giants, eventually down the road, you are going to have to be the guy because they gave you the keys to the franchise.
But I'd like to be asked.
Bo Nix, Michael Penix.
Yeah, but would you like that?
Eventually, all these guys are going to have to be asked, hey, we drafted you in the first round. Ted, what do you always say? First round pick, it has to be an impactful player. Well, you're drafting a quarterback. It doesn't get much more impactful than that.
I mean,
once they get drafted, those 6 guys, eventually, maybe not right off the bat for some of them, but down the road, hey, this is your team now.
I mean, even maybe
Minnesota to the promised land.
I mean, maybe Minnesota comes up for May because they're like, hey, we got Sam Darnold to kind of hold the fort down for a little bit. And Kevin O'Connell's
Minnesota to me is either going JJ or Drake May.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
I just think those are the 2.
If they go Drake May, would they?
I think the Giants and Vikings are in the same situation.
Yeah, and I think the biggest question is what will New England do? Because if New England takes the quarterback, now
fighting. Now we fighting for this for that guy right now.
And I don't think the Giants are going to be ballsy enough to pull the trigger. Because I think they look at their team and go, we don't have what the Vikings have. We don't have a running back like them. We don't have any of the receivers they have. We don't have any tight end. We have what they have in a left tackle. I don't know how much better their offensive line is. I'd have to look at like PFF or where the grades are at. I don't think the Giants I think the Giants was worse based on at least the sack numbers, but that could be also quarterbacks holding the ball and not doing what they were supposed to do and missed assignments. So it's a deeper question. But then you're like, okay, now you look at the coaching. Kevin O'Connell, Dable, some offensive guys. You're hoping that both guys.
I think the big thing in the telling also, just a lot of little messages that the Giants have been going through. I mean, them going after Russell Wilson to have those exploratory meetings said enough for me. And then I think the icing on the cake, you got the approval of John Mara. Once he said, if there's a guy that you like, go get him. So you got the approval of your boss. Joe Shane made a quote last year, scared money don't make money. He made a trade last year, if you remember. He traded up to go get Deonte Banks. He's made trades. He traded for Brian Burns. He's a guy, learned from Brandon Beane, one of the best in the business. He's made trades. So he won't be scared to be like, hey, if we really want Drake May or we want Jaden Daniels or we want J.J. McCarthy, we're going to go after them no matter what it takes. If it says giving up a couple draft picks, then so be it. For them to compete and for teams to compete in today's NFL, you can have all the talent in the world. If you do not have the quarterback position solved, you are not going to win. It's that simple.
And to think,
and if you don't want to believe me, Ted, you just saw it on February 11th.
And the Giants beat Washington twice in New England.
Yeah. I mean, those are all.
Yeah. Between those games and the games the Giants could have won, the Giants could have been in the playoffs.
The Giants still could have been 6-11. Think about that. Those 3 wins and then those 3 losses that they had, the Rams, the Jets, and the Bills, and then the Steelers or the Patriots, and then the 2 Commanders games, still would have been 6-11.
Well, no,
it wouldn't even matter.
No, we could have lost those 3 games and had the top 3 pick, or we could have won 3 more games and had a playoff pick.
Yeah, imagine that.
But that's what the NFL comes down to. But
I mean, we're going to say, dude, we're 23 days away until Caleb Williams is officially a Chicago Bear, and then the games begin.
Yeah, and of course we'll find out.
The draft starts at 2 because we don't know if Jaden Daniels or Drake May is going. So the draft's going to start at 2. We'll see what happens in 23 nights.
And we'll take it from there.
We'll see what happens in 23 nights. All I know is the Giants are going to go quarterback or receiver. There's no other position the Giants. I would be stunned if the Giants looked at anything else moving on forward. Maybe the only other guy is if what Ted said, trade back and they go get Brock Bowers or something because they do need a tight end.
Well, he's a weapon. He can help in the running game.
But that's what I'm saying. And 11 feels a lot better than it would be at 6. Plus, if you did want to do that, you get 23. You could get a receiver. Then I guess you go all in with Daniel Jones. That alone should get you fired because you sound like you're on crack. We're going on year 6. Year 6 of Daniel Jones. And there's people in the New York Giant fan base organization that still believe Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback. And meanwhile, we have other franchises trading their quarterbacks after years or a year or 2.
Yeah.
You tell me what's the problem.
Usually by the second Thanksgiving, they're like, yeah, this guy's good or not. I mean, you kind of know.
We're going on year 6. And we're still trying to figure out for Giant people if Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. I'll solve it for you real quickly. Anybody with a brain knows that Daniel Jones is not a franchise quarterback. So all you fools that want to continue to defend Daniel Jones probably should go get some help. That's all I'm going to end it with. We will see. A lot of shit's going to happen. A lot of stuff's going to happen. Are you surprised though, Ted? Outside of the Vikings 1 trade, are you surprised there hasn't been a trade inside the top 5 yet? Because you usually see that already.
No, not necessarily.
Don't you remember last year? The Bears traded in March. A couple years ago, San Fran traded. Remember when those trades happened like this? Those all happened early.
I just think this year is different because we don't know who's going to. I don't know. It all depends because I don't think if New England goes 3 and they take a quarterback, then I think it changes. Then you get a flux of hurry up going into the. If New England doesn't, now maybe teams sit pretty. Maybe Minnesota comes to 7 or 6 or 5. So I think the Chargers want to trade out. Arizona says there's open for business. I think the Chargers are open for business. The Giants are.
The first 2 picks are not going anywhere.
No.
3, 4, 5, all in play for possible trades.
And then of course, the Giants. I think the Giants. Then it becomes what happens. Do the Giants just sit at 6 and take the receiver, the best receiver available, or do the Giants say, you know what, we can go get another receiver at 11, 12?
I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be there at like 6 or something. It's crazy that like Neighbors. I get it, the speed, but like to see Neighbors.
And you'll say, let's take J.J. McCarthy. Yeah, let's take a Michigan guy over Ohio State guy.
Great.
Marvin
We'll be the NFC version of the Las Vegas Raiders as Daniel Jones goes. It's like Aiden O'Connell throwing to Devontae
Marvin
Adams.
Harrison will have like 1,200 yards the first season. JJ McCarthy will sit on the bench behind Daniel Jones. Giants will be 4-12, and like, see, Trev, aren't you glad?
So I don't know if you've gone with the receiver way or you've joined my side. I don't know what you've gone with.
I think it depends on who's sitting there. I told you I'll take the receiver right now because at least I know
he's one guy. Is there a guy you really want?
No.
Nobody. Not in this entire draft. There's not one guy.
I mean, listen, if any of the three receivers are there, I like all three of them. I like them all. I like a lot of the receivers. I really do because there's less boom or bust on the receivers than there is quarterbacks. You've seen a lot more. You've seen a lot
the most.
Caleb, but that's not even realistic.
He's not my favorite quarterback.
I just think Daniels. I watched him play the SEC because I'm an SEC guy. He was really good. He killed Florida, dominated him. But I watched him score like 12 touchdowns against like two of the worst teams in football. So, he's got potential, and he also threw to two stud receivers. So, was that more of the talent around him with Neighbors and Johnson, with Brian Thomas, or was it him? I mean, then again, it didn't bother Joe Burrow that he had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
Because some guys just haven't.
So, I mean, I like him. I do like Jaden Daniels. I like them all. I don't have a problem. I just think everyone has.
That's the most Ted answer I can ever hear.
I like
them all. Ted likes
Ted
likes all 200.
I think the old New York Giants football team would draft JJ McCarthy because that's what the Giants football would be: run, play, action. And I just don't know what the Giants.
Dable's mindset makes me believe Drake May is the guy.
Yeah, because the versatility and ability to be big, strong,
seeing kind of like that small,
and possibly also in the NFC in the cold, stronger, bigger arm, physical guy, be able to take the pounding and be able to make the throw.
And like I said,
so you have to live with the 60-yard bomb for an interception. You might also see the 60-yard touchdown with throwing off at 1 foot. That's what you're probably.
I'm pretty sure Buffalo Bills are happy with their quarterback, no matter what. If they haven't won a Super Bowl or not, I'm pretty sure they're happy with their quarterback. Time will tell.
Well, gotta go.
Ted's got to go. Ted's in a rush. Ted is in a rush. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back for our next episode discussing the New York Yankees. We haven't talked any Yankees. We haven't talked baseball. We haven't talked Juan Soto. All I'm going to say is, Cashman, I don't give a shit. Give him $1 billion. Don't let that man leave. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next episode. We are Keys to the City. We are out.
You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.